Okay, I often see that students have a lot of trouble understanding how to use this chart, so I'm going to show you how to read this chart. So basically, this gives us much more specific information about both what our target audience wants and how well different brands, including our competitors, are doing at meeting those needs. So this top box, notice this is a list of all of the pizza and restaurant characteristics that we can work with in this game. So the top box is where you choose which characteristic you want to see on the bottom axis, your x-axis. And the second box shows what is going to be in your y-axis. So by default, it starts out with the top two selected. So we have fast selected right now for the x-axis, and we have gourmet selected right now for the y-axis. So what I usually do is I start out by setting these two axes to show what the particular target audience that I'm interested in cares about the most. So I know that families, let's say, we're going to look at the family target audience. So let's say we know that families care a lot about fast and they care a lot about family friendly. So now I have fast on the x-axis and I have family friendly on the y-axis. So now I can see these dots here represent our different target audiences. And if you hover over them, they pop up with the label, and the color coding of the target audiences is consistent as you switch around through these different options. Okay, so I have high rating for fast, high rating for family friendly. So I know that I'm going to be looking in this area of the chart for my families because they care about both of those things. Sure enough, here's the families. So notice that these dots, which represent in theory individual family preferences. And we can see that they're kind of clustered right around this point. So that tells us that families, what they really want is about an 8, a level 8 for fast. So I can go down here and I can see that this is representing a level 8 on the x-axis. And I can come over here like this and it's a 10 on the y-axis. So this is telling me, whereas I already knew that families had a high rating for both fast and family friendly, but now I can see more specifically here that they want an 8 for fast and a 10 for family friendly. So they care most about family friendliness, unsurprisingly. So here's empty nesters, pretty much the opposite. So empty nesters don't care very much about either fast or family friendly, and you see here they are at the opposite end with approximately a level 1 rating for family friendly and a 1 rating for fast. Okay, so back to my families. I want to know what they care, what numbers they are about the other possible categories. So now I'm just going to work methodically through these choices. I'm going to leave it on fast just to keep things simple. And now I'm going to go up here and change this, the y-axis, to gourmet. Okay, fast again is 8, not surprising because I didn't change that one. And gourmet is at level 1. So families get a 1 rating for their preference for gourmet. So moving this on to sustainable, here's where families line up on the y-axis for sustainable. So they get about a 4 would be their preference for sustainable. Now I've changed it to innovation. Where's my families? Here they are. When you leave one in place, so because I left fast in place, I always know I'm going to be looking right here on this line for where families fall. So here's families at level 2 for innovation. Changing that to romantic. Here's my families. They are at level 2 for romantic. We already checked family friendly. So our last one is classy, and they are at a level 1 for classy. So all things considered, families are number 8 for fast, a 1 for gourmet, a 4 for sustainable, a 2 for innovation, a 2 for romantic, a 10 for family friendly, and a 1 for classy. Okay, so now I know exactly what families are looking for on all the dimensions that I have data for. So now let's go back to the brand decision area. And suppose this brand is going after families. So remember, so we're going to move these sliders, and notice as we change our options up here, we see up here on this chart what we have chosen. So family said they want an 8 for fast, so I'm going to bring this up to an 8. And they wanted a 1 for gourmet. They wanted a 4 for sustainable. And they wanted a 2 for innovation. whoops, 2. So this section up here is about our pizza characteristics, and those are where our variable costs come from. So these are costs per pizza we make. And the way the costs work is, for example, fast, it says it costs you 40 cents per point of fastness. That's just a game unit. Okay, so 40 cents per point, we wanted to get 8 points. So we just pulled the slider over to the 8, and now we are spending 8 times 40 cents. So that is $3.20 for fastness. Gourmet costs 80 cents per point. And again, these are per pizza. So 80 cents per point, we only needed 1. So that's going to cost us 80 cents per pizza to get 1 point of gourmetness. Sustainability costs 60 cents per point. We need 4 points to make our families happy. So that's going to be 4 times 60 cents per point. So that's going to cost us $2.40 per pizza to make it this sustainable. And our last one is innovation. That costs 45 cents per point. In order to make our families happy, we need to set it at a 2. And so that's going to be 90 cents, aka 2 times 45 cents for making it innovative. So if we add those together, $3.20 for fastness, 80 cents to make it gourmet, $2.40 to make it sustainable, and 90 cents to make it innovative, then that is going to give us the variable cost total of $7.30 per pizza. So that's where this $7.30 per pizza comes from. And notice if we decided, for example, to make it less fast, I pull down the slider, and as I pull down the slider, now I have lowered our rating on that attribute, and my cost per pizza has gone down. Okay, I'm going to put it back up to 8 for what they want. Now, the facilities section is a little trickier. So in the facilities section, let's remember from our information in the brand positioning chart, we learned that families want a 2 rating for romantic, a 1 rating for classy, and a 10 rating for family friendly, which is most important to them. So let's say, for example, when you start out, it has basic decoration at 500 per quarter. That's giving us 2 family friendly points, 2 romantic points, 2 classy points. We only needed 2 romantic points and we only need 1 classy point. And so 2 is above and beyond, so that's fine. But we need to do a lot to make it family friendlier because we need a 10 rating here. So notice this +2, that tells us that purchasing the basic decoration package buys us 2 rating points for family friendly. And here we have the level 2. So we need to bring that to 10. So we need to look in here for facilities features that will make it more family friendly. And it tells you exactly how many points you get for that per quarter cost. Okay, so I'm going to add a playground. I picked playground because, see, I would spend $300 per quarter to get 4 family friendly points. Or I could do a mascot, which is 4 family friendly points. So I get the same number of family friendly points with a mascot, but it costs $400 per quarter, whereas the playground is only $300. So playground is clearly the more cost efficient choice. So I'm going to pick playground. And that brings me 4 family friendly points plus 2 family friendly points gives me 6 family friendly points. We see up here, I have 6. Now I have a score of 6 for family friendly. So I still need to add more. So I'm going to add something else. I'm going to choose a mascot. Again, I'm going to pick the mascot because I can see I get 2 family friendly points for face painting for $400 per quarter, or for the same money, $400 per quarter, I could get 4 family friendly points by purchasing the mascot. So I'm going to do that. Purchase the mascot, and now we can see that our family friendly score has gone up here to a 10, which is where I want it to be. But the mascot made it less romantic and less classy. And notice that's pretty much the case no matter what you pick here, because romance and classy are kind of mutually exclusive. You can't be both romantic and family oriented. So now I'm going to have to add something more romantic and classy in order to get those points up. So let's see, what could I do here? I'm not going to choose candles because they will ruin my family friendly rating. So I'm going to choose atmospheric lighting, because that way I get both romantic and classy for just $200. Okay, now I have a romantic rating of 1 and a classy rating of 1, but I learned from my brand positioning chart that families actually want it to be a little bit romantic. So I want to get a level 2 for romance. So I'm going to add free flowers. And so now I've exceeded their expectations. So now I am meeting their expectations perfectly, or exceeding them in one case because I couldn't find a way to get just exactly 2 romance points. So notice if you take $500 per quarter plus $300 per quarter, that's $800 per quarter, plus another $400, that's $1,200 per quarter, plus another $300, that's $1,500 per quarter, plus another $200, that is a total of $1,700 per quarter for all these things combined. And notice over here, it shows us our fixed costs. The maintenance cost per quarter for our facilities features is going to be $1,700. That's where that number comes from. If I deleted something, that number adjusts accordingly. Okay, I'm going to put my playground back in. Okay, so that's how I want it set. And now I'm going to go back to the brand positioning page, back to my reports, and back to brand positioning. Okay, so keep in mind that the dots representing the target audience are always here, and they will always be in the same place, unless, of course, trends happen, and maybe there will be news items in the game that say, oh, there's a new trend that families are starting to care more about gourmet or something like that. But unless there's a change like that, the dots representing what people want don't move. Now, the brand circles representing what brands are offering, that is based on the previous quarter, what that brand actually had on the market. So don't expect your brand changes that you've just made that you haven't implemented yet until you click the button to advance to the next quarter, because this is based on the previous quarter's sales data and what you had on offer at that time. And notice you can also see exactly what your competitors have on offer. So once again, I'm going to go back to what my families care about. They care about most about being fast and family friendly. Here's the purple dots for my family. And notice that Dramatic Pizza is producing exactly what families want. They are right on top. What they're offering is exactly on top of what families care about. We could see here, here's Empty Nesters, kind of the opposite. And this brand, Amazing Pizza, is producing something really close to what Empty Nesters want. Okay, so if I cycle through a few more of these things, other stuff that families care about, let's see, sustainable. It's something they cared about. So now I'm looking at fast and sustainable. So fast on the x-axis, sustainable on the y-axis. Here's where my families are. And here, once again, Dramatic Pizza is producing exactly what families want. And here's my Empty Nesters, the opposite. And once again, Amazing Pizza is very close to exactly what Empty Nesters want. They are a little short of how sustainable Empty Nesters want it. So that is how that chart works.